and you're on.
Good morning. Happy Thursday, everyone. We are here with Patrick and Michael from Mohave Valley Junior High. I'm excited. Like, if anyone knows me, Mohave Valley Junior High is my heart and soul. I had 4 kids who have graduated from there, went to River Valley, so I spent 6 to 8 years really based around there. Fun fact, I was also the president of the Booster Club for 3 years.
I thought you were going to say you went there.
That's a big deal.
I did not go there, but like the bulldogs that are on the wall, my Booster Club helped those.
Oh.
So just so you know.
Little legacy. Yeah,
yes.
I like it.
All right, Patrick, tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you get involved into the school district?
Well, I grew up in Pennsylvania, a little farm town called Newcastle. And I moved out here as the 1-year plan to get that experience and go home.
Yeah.
And
we
11
kept you.
years here. I'm here. I have a family. I have a daughter and a daughter on the way. So I think I'm officially a local.
Yeah. You're local.
Yep.
We kept you. I love that. Tell us about your time in the school district. I really met you when you were in the elementary school as with Shannon Ferguson. But I just learned today that you started at Mohave Valley Junior High.
I did. I started as a 7th grade math teacher down there, and then I taught PE for 3 years, got my master's, and that's when I started working with Miss Ferguson over at Fort Mohave Elementary.
Oh, those little ones are fun, huh?
They sure are.
I mean, the teenagers are a little harder to work with.
Yeah, they're bigger.
They are bigger.
And
they could jump you if they needed to.
They probably could. And now I'm in my 2nd year at the district office as the Director of Innovation.
Very cool. Michael, tell us a little bit about yourself. You're new to town.
I am new to town. I just arrived this year.
Welcome.
I come from a different background. When I went to college, I chose to study anthropology.
Nice.
Without a career path in mind.
Not knowing where that was taking you?
What did I do? I started my own business, and I worked in the business world for a while. But I wasn't feeling like I'm a legacy person.
Yeah.
I know we have a finite amount of time in the world, and I wanted to leave the world a better place than before I came. So looked within myself and decided education was, that was the route for me. I'd done a lot of coaching and working with youth, and my parents were educators, and so I changed it up. I went back to school, became an educator.
Nice.
And I'm just an advocate for changing the way we do things.
Yeah.
And being forward thinking, and as many students as I can go out and touch that can go do important things themselves, then I'm leaving that legacy behind.
I love it. That's wonderful. What brought you technically to here?
So with the creation of the Innovation Lab at the junior high out here, they needed somebody to help kind of spearhead and kind of build curriculum and help build that program. And I have a little bit of experience with that, and I came out to help get that going.
I love it. I love it. I mean, obviously, change is super important, and that's what these kids are getting to see.
Sure.
I always say nothing happens if we don't change. Let's talk a little bit about, will you pull up the picture, Jeff, for our little 2035. So anytime I run into you guys, this number kind of comes up. And when I think it must be a kindergartner, it's something about the graduating year. And then you brought up to me like, hey, Christy, if we were still teaching what you learned as a kindergartner on through high school, how beneficial would that be? And I was like, whoa, all right, I get it. So tell us a little bit about why this number is so important to you guys.
Right. So if you just see the year 2035, it seems so far away. But then when you put it into the perspective of a kindergartner, that's not so far away, because anybody that has raised a kid through school knows a blink of an eye,
so fast,
they're wearing that cap and gown again at a different size. And then you have to start thinking, what are we preparing them for? What is the world going to look like in 2035? You might be settled in your career path or how your life is going, but they're coming fresh out of high school, and they need to be prepared for whatever the world throws at them.
Yeah.
And there's actually Dell Technologies published some literature that said 85% of the jobs in the decade of 2030 haven't been thought of. They don't even exist yet.
Haven't even started.
Yeah. We don't even know what they're going to be. So how do we prepare kids for something we don't know is going to happen? So if you think, I just self-reflect and think, when I was in kindergarten or even junior high, and then the jobs that are out there now, I stop and think drone pilots are one of the most in-demand jobs out there. So you think about
it's a skill, it's a specialty.
the big cities where Amazon just flies in with a drone and drops it on your doorstep. Nobody had to drive there. Those drone pilots are in demand.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what this means, but content creators are a big job. Those are things we need to prepare our kindergartners for. Uber drivers. Who would have ever thought you're going to pick? Who would have ever thought you're going to pick somebody up in your own vehicle and drive them around?
You're right.
And they can pay you through an app. You never see any money. Things like that. And then this still blows my mind. I'm happy for the people that get paid to do it. But e-gaming athletes. Who would have ever thought you could get paid to e-game and then pay for your college? There's scholarships for e-gamers now. So
I mean, how often are we fighting with our kids? Like, get off your game. What are you doing? You're never going to do anything with your life. And really, it could lead them into something big.
Parents, you can no longer tell your kids, get off there. That's not going to get you
You
anywhere.
better start educating us.
They can now pay for their school through e-gaming. So
universities are recruiting for that.
That's wild.
Right? So a lot of things can change in a shorter time than you'd even think.
Well, the cool thing is if you have seen any pictures from the junior high and kind of what you guys are doing out there, impressive. Let's bring up the next picture, Jeff, the collage. So let's talk a little bit about, obviously these are older pictures and newer ideas.
Yep, a lot to unpack here, but if you look, the column on the left is a concept or a workplace, let's say 50 years ago, compared to what we can see in today's society. So on the top, we have an operating room. You can see how back then it was innovative, it was current, but now you can see on the right how much more technology is involved. It's very tech heavy. Obviously, it's going to get you better care and better service, but the people in that room need to be trained on that technology. So it's really critical that we're focusing not just on the surgical care and the steady hands, but also how to use that technology as an advantage.
It's wonderful.
And then the center row, you can see it's just an older car, probably from the 60s. And then you look on the right, now we have, who would have ever thought, a self-driving car on your right. Screens everywhere. I still hope you're paying attention, but the car can technically drive itself.
Yeah.
It's just a wild concept.
I mean, you can't even do most of your automotive stuff at home anymore. It really has to go into service departments because it's so technical.
Right. And on the bottom, we see a classroom, probably from the 60s, 50s. And then we see a more modern classroom. And this is what has really driven our change throughout the Mohave Valley School District is all those things that you see on top and around our community. But the classroom environment hasn't really changed to reflect the change they're going to encounter once they leave school.
Workspaces.
So this is our big driving force as we innovate our district. And just some other things that are just interesting to consider. Everybody can see them in their daily life. Christy, you kind of touched on it. Not only are their vehicles changed, but the mechanic shops are changed. They need different tools, different tools. And then let's think about grocery stores. I can literally walk in Sam's Club now, and I never have to see the cashier.
Yeah, you check
everything on my
out.
phone. I can scan my own items.
Scan and
I can
go.
pay. Yeah, it's just
You're
wonderful.
right.
And then our school, through Verkada and CamNet, we now have Bluetooth keys to the classrooms. The teachers can literally unlock their doors with their cell phone.
They don't
need a key. You don't have to worry about losing a key, getting into the wrong hands. You have the proper access coded with your phone. So it's
you
a
have
very
to be
different
educated to work these different gadgets.
Absolutely.
It's wild. I have noticed in a lot of your pictures that the students are able to stand a lot. You get a lot more movement in the classroom, so they're not just sitting idle, maybe getting bored. I'm assuming that is kind of the reflection of thinking new, getting these kids standing, being able to have different positions, being able to touch screen computers is what it looks like.
Yep, that's a good point. And collaboration is very important. If you think 20, 30 years ago when we were in school, if you were talking to somebody, it was cheating. You don't talk. But how often are you in the workplace and you're not allowed to talk or collaborate with somebody?
Never.
Right?
You're always working together.
You want as many thoughts and heads in on a project as you can. It's not cheating when you're in the workplace. It's collaboration. We want to produce the best possible content.
Yeah.
So why not bring more thoughts together? So.
Oh, that's great. I think, for me, it really opens up like the ADHD kids that struggle with just the sitting in one position all day. So that's wonderful. That's wonderful. Let's talk a little bit about what brought you here and kind of what the program is that you're moving us into and being able to help with.
Well, coming in here to help start up the innovation lab at the junior high school. When I talk about this, I like to talk about what the word innovate means.
Yeah, for sure.
The definition of the word innovate is to do things in a new way. And, like I stated before, I'm very much about pushing the boundaries and trying to find new ways to make education more beneficial for students and preparing for that 2035 and beyond.
Yeah.
So coming out to start up that lab, when we think about how much information students have at their fingertips, it's out there. If they are looking for an answer to a question, they just pull out their phone and find it, right? They've got all of that.
No more dictionaries.
So things have changed. So what do we do when we don't know what the jobs are going to be that students are going to be encountering, and when content has become a little bit less important?
Yeah.
I mean, we still need foundational skills.
Right.
But I think what we have to focus on is what are the skills students need to succeed when they come out of school.
Yeah.
And although I'm an advocate for college, a lot of times we've pushed the narrative that you finish high school, you go to college, but we know that's not true. Some students are going to go out of high school and they're going to find their fortune right away in technology.
Yeah.
So
maybe even before they even graduate,
there's just
right?
so many unknowns.
Yeah.
What do we do? So the skills that I am choosing to focus on in the innovation lab with students, we call them the 4 C's, and they include critical thinking, creativity, collaboration, and communication.
That's great.
These are the skills that they're needed. It doesn't matter what environment they're going to find themselves in, they can be successful if they have those 4 skills.
Communication is huge. Do you find that it's hard to get the kids to communicate a lot because they're so used to being on their phones and gaming, and that's kind of their form of communication? How do you guys kind of transition that away from being able to work with that and teach them skills verbally, really?
It's definitely difficult with middle school. There's so much change that's going on with middle schoolers, so you have to keep trying. And you engage them through technology. If that's what they're used to, we can do that. We can pose a question and have them create video responses, and then they can look at each other's video responses and comment, and so and within a controlled environment, we're using the technology they're used to. But beyond that, I do believe in social emotional learning, and I work with team building to get students to collaborate together. We do have to kind of tease that out of them, get them communicating.
That's great. It sounds like really just taking what was a picture that everyone just kind of pictures and really looking outside of that box and really doing what's best for each individual child, which is really cool. It makes me excited.
It is exciting.
Yes. What about jobs for the future? So I know we kind of keep touching on that, but really building these different style rooms. Can we talk a little bit about all that you guys have changed in the school with the different style rooms that you have? It seems like there's quite a few different styles.
Sure. Well, the Innovation Lab was the big one. It is going to be set up when it's finally finished. We'll have some 3D printing. We'll have some coding. We have 4 touchscreen 55-inch monitors where students can collaborate, manipulate, move.
Yeah, that must be what I keep seeing, which is just like, oh my God, this is awesome.
And then we have another wall with 2 75-inch touchscreen manipulative. They're just basically giant iPads on the wall.
Yeah.
And then we have 3 80-inch TVs on hydraulic mounts, so you can actually rotate it to a tabletop, and you can manipulate things as students gather around and collaborate.
Way to get their attention.
Yeah.
Jeff, let's bring up the next picture.
So you may have seen this flyer around town, but I just wanted to bring this up because this is our district's online school, Mohave Valley School District. We do have an online school called Mohave Valley Connections Academy, but I am a huge advocate of in-person learning. I think nothing can replace, a a teacher in person, but it doesn't mean there aren't situations where people need an online school.
Yeah.
So if that need does present itself to anybody, I'm sure some people would like to know there's a local option that has through a local school district. It's a district employed teacher. We have an office that you can come in and talk to somebody. But I think what really sets us apart more than the other like Primaveras or K-12s is you're a district student. So your student could technically, if they're enrolled in MVCA, they could play on the football team. They could go to school dances. They could go to the book fairs. You can attend district events, whereas I think that's really what sets us apart from the online schools.
Especially if you need to do online schooling for some reason, it doesn't take you out of being on the fields, which is important,
so
as we know.
We're really proud of that.
Let's look at the next picture, Jeff. Is this one of the TVs that we were talking about? The rooms, the spaces?
There's a couple back there. Yep.
Yeah. So this allows the kids really to, like you keep saying, collaborate, work together. Sounds like with the projects they're doing, that's not so one-on-one. It's really bringing them together.
This is something that was just recently going on in the classroom. Students are learning about being digital citizens. So, the importance of their digital footprint being the fact that, whatever we put out there on the internet, that's something that's going to follow.
Ooh, that's good.
And, they need to be aware as they move forward. Employers down the road are going to be looking at digital footprints. Colleges are, cyber vetting digital footprints. And we need to make students aware at an earlier age that what they put out there is permanent.
So really educating them, because I think even as adults, that was hard for us to learn. We all learn it the hard way, probably. So if you can educate them so they don't learn it the hard way, that's kudos to the program.
So those students are learning about that, and they're creating storyboards so that we can create some videos that can be shared with elementary school kids. So they're doing their part to educate the ones that come behind them about what is a digital footprint and what does it mean to be an upstander when you see cyberbullying occurring, so that we can, try and get a handle on that as well. Their world is different. We need to prepare them for that.
Their world is so different, especially when you think of 2035. That's pretty wild. Oh, this is great. So these look like they can touch the screens.
This is one of our 80-inch screens.
That's cool. What is this classroom? Is this part of the program that you're talking about currently?
This is a picture of the Innovation Lab.
Very nice. So many changes that have happened at the junior high. The new football field, the season's starting. How's that all going?
Looks incredible. The grass is greener than I've ever seen it. It looks wonderful. The baseball fields have fresh sand, very bright.
Which, if you've ever been over there, that's always been a challenge, right?
It was,
to keep everything green and keep the sand. It sounds funny to need to keep sand good for players, but you really have to.
Sand gets dirtier than it is when it starts. It does. Yep.
Oh my gosh.
But we also at the junior high, we did get rid of all of the carpet, and we stained the concrete. It looks gorgeous.
Oh.
Everything's so color coordinated
Nice and
aesthetic.
clean.
Yep. Mrs. Hanson did a great job over there coordinating the colors.
I love Mrs. Hanson. Shout out to Mrs. Hanson and Miss Moss.
And we have a brand new wood gym floor.
Oh.
Huge bulldog logo in the center.
Oh, get out.
Color-coded. Yeah, it looks incredible. You have to come.
I need to come see.
Yep.
Okay, so when am I coming? Let's do a tour. We're coming. Jeff?
Yeah, let's do it.
We're heading to the junior high.
Let's go.
Can we do lunch with the students or something?
Sure.
I mean, I love those kids. Or just Miss Hanson and Miss Moss. I love them too.
They rock. Yep.
Yeah. No, so that is cool. I forgot that you guys had done all that. I assume for parents who have, kids who have been there prior and then now, that they have to be just blown away.
So we did get another upgrade through Verkada and CamNet. We upgraded all of our cameras. We added some more cameras, very high definition. We found all the makeout corners, so now there's nowhere to hide.
No, well, and that really goes back to the safety of the students and the schools.
Yep. And Verkada is also the company, again, that did the Bluetooth unlocks and the key cards and stuff to not need the keys anymore. But they also, again, the 2035, not knowing where we'll be, vaping, that epidemic is a real challenge for especially the junior high age. So we actually were able to install vape sensors. Those are a thing also. So not necessarily smoke detectors, but there are vape sensors that can detect when the emissions from a vape pen or whatever comes out.
That's genius. Look at these guys. That tells me that you're not only interested, in educating them, but really their safety, health-wise. I mean, really putting in a lot of thought to being kind of in that teenage world, really.
Yep, absolutely.
And I think so many times, schools are just set like, here's what you do, this is what happens. You get in that realm of thinking, and it's really cool to see just the different outlook and really the important part of making these kids ready when they get out of school and what it'll look like.
Yep. When the
It
junior
might be
highs-
like the Jetsons. Could it be like the Jetsons?
Fly to work, that'd be nice. But the junior high is just a starting point. We planned on trickling it down to Camp Mohave and then Fort Mohave also. We started with the junior high because that guarantees that all students will experience it as they come up. If we start at the primary grades, you already
Only
missed
affecting that.
5 generations. Yeah. So if we start at the older school and work our way down, we can ensure that it's equitable and all students make their way through there. So
What a proud thing to be part of, right? I mean, your kid will be going to school here shortly, so it's good.
2 of them. Yeah,
Two.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Wait till the second one comes.
Yeah, I think my oldest daughter is class of 2038. So
Wild,
I got to
huh?
start thinking about those years. Yeah.
Yeah. And your son just went off to college. We talked a little bit about that.
He did, yes. He went off to Florida to begin that game. It's quite an experience.
Man, it's wild. I mean, you just want to keep them babies forever, You're
What-
like in the perfect space right now.
Yes,
Because
she's
teenagers
fun.
are wild.
Yeah. Well, his son going off to Florida is a big reason why we're trying to make this innovation and this push is because we want Mohave Valley students to be globally competitive. Because they're not just going to stay here. So we want them
Yeah.
to have skills that compete with somebody from Boston or Seattle or Los Angeles or London. Wherever they go, we want them to have the skills to be competitive.
I love it.
We obviously want them to come home to us and bring
Yeah.
those skills back, but we want them to be able to compete no matter where they are.
I think of it as kind of like a ladder. We use the term scaffolding in education, but that we need to give them all that. We might not be able to give them the highest technological advantage, but each thing that we integrate adds another rung to that ladder. And we help them kind of escalate along that ladder so that when they go out into the world, all they have to do is reach up for that top level. They've already taken
built
the
those
steps along the way.
That's wonderful. Well, and you talked earlier when we were talking about the fact that, you as a teacher know so much, and then you get these kids and these students in, and what they can come up with is just mind-blowing, right? So if we can educate them and give them the tools, it's endless. I love it. Ugh, guys, I'm ready to go back. Can I go to school with you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Field trip to a school.
Yeah.
It's different. Yeah.
Going back into class. That's it. Honestly, no, I often say, any of you who know anything about me, I have been involved in these school districts for many, many years. And I feel like the elementary school, everyone's loving their little babies and they're so cute and they're so fun. And then you get into high school and everyone's like, oh, high school, you're so proud that they've made it that far. But the junior high, I feel like gets a little lost. Parents are super busy. You don't really have so much participation to parent-teacher conferences, and just getting people to realize that is such an important piece of these teenagers' spaces. I just found that was kind of a place where parents are not so interested. So I think getting, going on this page that you guys are, where you're not only sparking parents' attention, because you're like, we have to change. This is new, and this is why. You are really, I can only imagine getting these students really engaged in this new program and what that looks like. So I'm thinking the excitement level of everywhere and everyone is pretty hyped right now.
When you're right, it does take a village. Parents have to be interested, schools have to be interested, we have to be current. And you kind of touched on it where junior high is really where they really start to find themselves and they start to spark those passions.
Yeah.
So what Mr. Ingerson's doing, we're exposing them to all these different avenues that they could be interested in and really start finding a focus. I think it's important that they have that opportunity with him. So
Yeah, they need the tools to find who they're going to be. What better place than Mohave Valley Junior High?
Right?
Yes.
That's right.
Thank you guys for coming out today.
Hold up.
I have
you.
really, really enjoyed our time. Oh, Jeff found some pictures of you, just so you know.
Oh, that's my first year at Fort Mohave.
Very first year.
How convenient of you to find that.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm so glad you found that.
Right, I've been looking for that.
Well,
for
I
some
got it.
time.
You know.
I often
I like
laugh
this
at
one, too.
Patrick.
Oh,
Look
you
at
found
that.
another one. I've been looking for that one too.
Life's better on the river. How could you go wrong?
It
Nice.
sure
I
is.
really wish that you had his Crocs that he wears everywhere.
I
We're in
don't have
Rotary
the-
together.
I don't have those.
And I'm
Sorry.
very always impressed by his Crocs. They are American flag.
I do have great
So he wears socks with
Everything
them
grows
too.
with America, so I had to pick that print. So
Yes. Well, thank you guys for coming. Everyone, remember to shop local. If you have any questions or concerns, where do they start to get a hold of you guys?
School.
yeah, Turco P at mvdistrict.net is a good start. I can maybe leave a business card on the video.
Yeah,
if
for
anybody's
sure.
interested, absolutely.
And then, reach out to Mohave Valley Junior High if you need to
Sure.
get a hold of anyone. But again, thank you for looking outside the box and really bringing this town up into the new age.
Thanks for
I'm
having
excited for them.
Thank you.
Have a good day,
Patrick,
guys.
thank you
us.
guys.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Shop local, support local. Wear blue.
Yeah, Bart Blue.